Welcome back to the Night Report podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again is my co-host, Richie Schneiderite. Richie, it is Friday. We have a different podcast than we normally put out. Richie attended basketball practice today. Yeah, Wagner preview. We all kind of know how that game's going to go. We had a special guest on, the coach of Wagner football. Thanks again to Tom Masella for joining us yesterday. We got a lot of comments about how you guys really enjoyed that type of interview ahead of a game. I don't expect us to get any other head coaches to talk with us before games this season. So I know a few of you joked about, talking to RARITAN.They or talking to James Franklin. I'm going to say that's not going to happen. But thanks again to Tom Masella for coming on. So Richie's going to go through a practice report of what he saw in practice today, what guys jumped out, give you kind of a scouting report of each player, each scholarship player, because there's a lot of new nuggets and interesting tidbits that he picked up on. We're going to discuss the Midnight Madness event that was announced this morning. That is an event that the front office, Knight Society, and Knights of the Raritan are all helping put on, which is going to be Friday, October 12th, I believe. October 13th, sorry.
Yes.
So that'll be the weekend of homecoming. It'll be basically like a pep rally / dunk contest. They have a lot of stuff going on.
We'll talk about
dunk
it.
contest. Yeah, we'll go into the whole thing. Yeah. No dunk contest. We got some recruiting updates, and let's just jump into it. So, Rich, you saw practice today, high level. Let's talk about what you saw on the team. What's going to be different about this team than last year, primarily?
They can actually move up and down the court. They're not actually dribbling with their back towards the defender while they're going slowly up the court.
So
looking at you, Jamal.
Dead?
Jamal Mulvaney ball is dead.
All right, so more booty ball. So sorry to those out there who like to keep things under the speed limit. I don't think that's going to be really a thing anymore this year.
No. They are just fast-paced. Everyone on that team is fast-paced. I know there was a big question mark going into, or I guess it's still a question mark for some of you, but there's a big question mark about shooting. This team can shoot. It's not just like, hey, Cam's hitting 40%, everyone else is hitting like 25. Like, no, this team can actually shoot up and down. There's depth at every position. It's probably one of the deepest teams I've seen at Rutgers since I probably started, to be honest with you. And we're talking 10 years now, I guess. Over 10 years. Jeez. Been a long journey for me. But totally different team. Some guys still have to get healthy and stuff like that. But this team is just fast-paced, knows how to shoot, dribble. No one's really no one's a ball hog. I didn't want to say the word ball hog, but I'm going to say it. There's no ball hogs at all. Everyone's pretty generous with the ball. Everyone's going to get minutes. I think when it comes down to it, maybe mid-season when everyone's fully healthy, I think some people are going to be pissed about their minutes, but that just goes to show you how deep this team is. They're 4 deep at guard. There's 5 deep at forward. They're 3 deep at center. This is a deep team. This is going to be a fun team. And I'm going to say it. I think this is a tournament team.
Yeah, everything I've kind of heard and seen from this offseason, whether it be the games in Portugal to what a lot of the reporting from practices and what you've said, is this team is going to be shooting a lot more threes and is going to be playing at a pace that we've never seen a Steve Peichel team play at. Would you say both those things were backed up by what you saw at practice today?
100%. Everyone's up and down the court. The guards are quick. They're shifty. They're a little smaller because I think Noah's 6 foot. Derek's probably 6'2". Jamichael Davis is going to play significant minutes. He's probably 6'2". Jeremiah Williams, if there's still a situation to be resolved there with his eligibility. They did apply for a waiver though.
Interesting.
So that's something to watch. If he gets that waiver, he's playing significant minutes. That kid is good. I don't care about the other issues. I don't give a shit about him. I know everyone on the boards is like, yo, you did this, you did that. I can tell you right now, if you do that entire investigation in any other state, including New Jersey, I guarantee you Seton Hall, Rutgers, Monmouth, Princeton all have players that have probably done it. Any other state, maybe not 90%, probably 60 to 70% of NCAA athletes have probably done something similar. So I just think it's stupid in the beginning. So regardless. But yeah, I think if he gets his waiver, he'll be playing minutes. He looks healthy now. Austin Williams, who's still kind of working his way back, is going to play some minutes. I think he has a chance to be a significant contributor down the line, potential starter in some games. Just watching today, I think the entire team, there's probably about 3 to 4 different starting lineups you can rock out with, depending on who you're playing. Are they taller down low? Are they bigger down low? Are their guards faster? Are they not faster? Do they have a guy that's like a small forward that can really shoot the ball? All right, we're going to switch this guy here and here. There's so many variety of lineups you can go with. And this team is, like I said, it's one of the deepest teams, maybe the deepest team Pikiell's had since he's been at Rutgers.
Yeah, that's huge because, I mean, last year you saw it, even when Mawat Mag was healthy, I mean, Pike was only playing 8 guys, and this sounds like you can legitimately play 10, 11, 12, 13 guys if you really need to from this roster.
Yeah.
And speaking of this roster, I'm just going to go down from, we're going to go number order and just give us a few thoughts on each guy based on what you saw and what you're hearing. All right, let's go.
Who's number 0?
Number 0, let's start. Derek Simpson, who's a rising sophomore. What are you hearing about him? What did you see at practice today?
I think Derek's probably a starter to begin the season. Does he keep that role? I think it's really dependent on who you're playing. Like I said, Derek's kind of more of a leader now. He's very vocal out there. He's scoring pretty easily. He can shoot the ball pretty well. This shouldn't be too much of a surprise because we did see glimpses of it late last season when he took the starting job for Rutgers. He was scoring double digits on multiple nights. Even in the Big Ten tournament, he stepped up. He's a good player. He's shifty. He's quick. He's got pretty good vision. He's got handles. I just think Derek's kind of just coming into his own a little bit. I think if he was this guy last season, he probably would have started from game 1, but a true freshman, he was a skinny true freshman. He had to gain some weight, and he's done that. He's a little, I don't want to say Geo Baker clone, but he's getting there.
I mean, he did. He does wear the same number. He's about the same height. He and Gio made that video for Night Society announcing the Midnight Madness event. So I mean, it's hard to not draw those comparisons. I hear you.
Yeah.
Next up, Jamichael Davis, the freshman out of McEachern High School. What are you hearing about him? What did you see at practice?
I'm guilty of this. I'll admit it. I'm going to eat some crow here. When he first committed, Rutgers still had Paul Mulcahy on the team, Cam Spencer. They were bringing in Fernandez, and it was like, all right, well, I don't really see many minutes for him. After watching him today, he might even start some games this year.
Wow.
He is good. He is shifty. He's got the best handles on the team by far, in my opinion. He's quick. I could see why Ace Bailey loves playing with him because he's so unselfish with the ball, and he's just going to run up and down the court with you. And he's pretty explosive as a point guard, too. He gets up there. Defensively, I'd argue he's probably the best defensive guard out of the 3 point guard guys in Jamichael, Derek, and Noah. He kind of reminds me of Jacob Young, but younger. I know when Jacob came to Rutgers, he was a 4th-year guy because he had to sit out.
I think he was a 3rd year, yeah.
So he had that sit out year, but he's just a pest on defense. He's annoying as hell. Boxes out guys really well. I do think he's going to play some significant minutes. I don't think he's going to be like a scorer per se. I think he's just going to do a little bit of everything else.
And you got an interesting nugget from somebody else who was in attendance there. Tell us what you heard from that person.
So NBA scout there. Obviously, we all know who he's watching. He's watching Cliff. Yep. But he's there, and he's like, that number 1 kid, he's a starting guard, and everyone's like, whoa. What do you see though? We see it too, but like, damn, like that's a hell of a fucking compliment for Jamichael Davis. Like, that NBA scout thinks he's the starting guard. Like he's just been very good. There's been, and from what I was told, there's been practices where he's the best player. There's been practices where Derek's the best player. There's been practices where Gavin's the best player and Cliff's the best player. And it goes back to showing what I was saying before about the depth. The team is just very deep, and one day it's this guy's time to shine. Next day it's this guy, et cetera, et cetera. But Jamichael Davis is going to play some serious minutes this year.
And you'd mentioned he's getting compared to Jacob Young. Even the coaching staff said that his athleticism numbers are similar to Jacob Young's.
Yes.
In an article Jerry Carino wrote a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they said he had a 38-inch vertical, which is
insane,
pretty crazy for a guy that young. Guy that height. Moving on. Yeah, guy that height too. We got a long list to go through, so I'm gonna just blitz through here. Next up, we got Noah Fernandez, who's the graduate transfer guard who was at UMass, and Rutgers fans might remember him for hitting that game-winning shot against Rutgers a couple years ago.
Yep.
What'd you see in here out of Noah?
Noah's going to be the starter. I think there's no question about that. He'll be the starting 1 guard. He is the veteran. He's a good scorer, can shoot the ball pretty decently. I don't expect him to go out there and hit like 4 threes, but I think some nights there's games where if you leave him open, he's going to hit them. He's got good vision. He's smart with the ball, and he's just quick as hell. I know he's small, and you kind of expect those guys to be quick, but he's got good muscle for his size. He's a legit 5'11", 6 foot, 180, 185. He's just a very good, smart point guard, and he's going to be a really good piece for Rutgers this year. I don't think he leads the team in scoring, and I'll get to who I think will be in a little bit, but I think he'll definitely be up there in the scoring numbers.
Yeah, no, I think you bring in a guy like him to kind of be the floor general. He's shown he can do it. He's got some really crafty moves around the basket, and he seems like a great passer and knockdown shooter. So
yeah,
I assumed he would start, but it's good to hear that's the plan.
Yeah, I can't see him not being the starting one guard.
Next up, Mawot Mag. Obviously, he's coming off an ACL injury. He's been cleared for non-contact participation.
Cleared for contact, I believe, too now.
Is that a recent development, as in like the last couple days?
I think it was yesterday, and I have to give credit to Fonseca, who I think tweeted that out. But although he's cleared, I think people still have to temper expectations. Pike's going to say all the good things. He said it to Rothstein. He said the other day, I think to Fonseca, if I recall correctly. But I still don't think he's going to be good for game one. There's a lot that goes into it still. Even if you're cleared for contact, doesn't mean you're good to go, like you're ready to go. He's still doing some rehab stuff with the rehab team and the trainer and Rich Van Dyke and all them. It's still going to be a process. I don't think he'll be good to go again until late November, mid-November maybe, if you're lucky. But they're also going to work him back slow. He's not just going to be like, hey, like we know we don't. I want to say you don't need him because you still need a 4-man.
Yep.
But I think you have such depth that you don't need to force him back immediately. Plus, the schedule kind of plays in your favor where you're not playing. Like you're playing Princeton game 1, who's probably your toughest test. Georgetown, you probably won't need him for. Howard, St. Peter's. You probably don't need him realistically until December 2nd versus Illinois. But you also want to get his feet wet. So maybe you do play him against St. Peter's.
Yeah, that stretch is going to be really tough from December 2nd to December 9th. I believe they play Illinois, Wake Forest, and Seton Hall in the span of 7 days.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's travel too.
That's travel. That's you want the younger guys to mainly get those minutes early, and when you're playing that grouping of like 5, 6, 7 cupcakes. But yeah.
But no, I think Mawot's going to be fine when it's all said and done. I think he's the same player as last year. As soon as he's good to go and healthy, he'll be he'll be a starter too. As soon as he's back to full health, he might not start right away, but he might not play right away. But when he gets back to full health, he'll be a starter and playing significant minutes.
Awesome. Next up, Andre Hyatt, who is a 5th-year senior. He was a guy who was getting a lot of hype from both reporters, from the international trip. He was the leading scorer. What did you see out of Andre? What are you hearing about him?
Rightfully so. He deserves all the hype and then some. I don't even know if he missed a shot today, to be honest with you, in scrimmages. Wow. He just couldn't miss. He was hitting threes. He was hitting contested threes. He's hitting contested twos. He's hitting floaters. He's hitting layups. And I don't know what clicked with him, but he is a different player this year. He's a guy I could see competing for that top spot for most points per game, because that's everyone's favorite stat apparently. But yeah, no, he just looks phenomenal. And those numbers, I know they were against competition. Actually, I don't even know the competition in Portugal and Senegal. So yeah, Senegal.
Yep.
I know those are great numbers against them, and I don't really know how good that comp is, but he's going to be a different player this year. You're going to watch him in a couple games and be like, damn, Andre Hyatt, that's a guy that used to score 10 here, then you go 0 of 4, then you get 15, then he goes 0 of 3, and it's who the hell? He's just consistent. I don't know what he's done to work on his shot or whoever he worked with, but I'd get every single player to work with that guy's offseason coach every year, because he's just a phenomenally different player, and he will be a solidified starter in my opinion.
It's great to hear. Next up, we got Oscar Palmquist, who, spent his first 4 years at Rutgers, and he transferred, and he came back. What did you hear about, or what did you see out of Oscar? What are you hearing about him? for this year?
Similar things from Oscar. If he's going to want to play significant minutes, I think he will actually until Mag's back, because they do need a 4-man, or at least a backup 4-man. Mm-hmm. I do think he's probably a similar player to late last year, when he can come in, he can hit a 3 or 2 if you need him. He can just play solid basketball and non-turnover basketball, and that's what I think you're going to get out of him. It's nothing crazy. He's a veteran presence too. That always helps. Everyone in the locker room just raves about him, loves him as a player, and just an off the court guy too. Just as a person, he seems like a really great kid. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. He's just going to be a similar player to last season, and he'll just help you depth wise.
Underrated defender too. I think it's something that's not talked about enough with Oscar. He's actually a pretty decent defender. So glad to hear that. Next up, we have the much heralded freshman guard/wing in Gavin Griffiths. What are you hearing about Gavin? What did you see out of him in practice?
Just spot that kid up in the corner. In reality, you don't have to, because he can do a little of everything, but he's going to be the leading scorer. I'm going to say it. I know this is like not bold prediction time,
wow,
but he'll be the leading scorer for Rutgers this year. I'd be a little shocked if he wasn't. The kid can do it all. I don't think he's a one and done, so we can cut that hype out. He is a great player though. He'd have to do a lot to be a one and done, in my opinion. Like a lot.
We all would be very happy if that's the case, because if he is a one and done, that means he's probably putting the team on his back and leading us to a deep run in the tournament. Because that's kind of there are a few guys who are in his range in terms of recruiting rankings who every year develop into a first round pick. You saw it last year with Grady Dick. You see it every year with a few guys, but typically those guys in that recruiting range are 2, 3, 4-year guys. So I agree.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, don't get me wrong, I think it's possible, but he's just been a phenomenal player. He's really, really good. He could shoot the lights out, and his shooting stroke is just perfect. Like, there's no like flaws with it whatsoever. Like, you see some of the other guys shoot, you see some of the walk-ons shoot, and I get it. Like, they're walk-ons at the end of the day, so it's like you can't judge their shooting stroke too much, but like this kid it's perfect. Like, it's the perfect form and everything. He's not going to hit him every night. He's going to have his nights, because that's what shooters do. They have cold nights, but he's also not just a shooter. He's kind of explosive too, and he can play above the rim at times. He can drive, and he's got good vision. He sees those open guys and open looks. There were probably 2 or 3 today where I saw he got the ball probably the top of the elbow and started driving and got to the low block, and he probably could have went up and probably could have got it a contested one-on-one matchup, but he just made either the smart pass out to the open 3 or the smart pass open top of the key. There was even a couple like where Wolfolk was cutting down on one side, and he just saw him with like split second vision and just has those perfect passes. I just think he's going to be a hell of a player, and I'm not going to say he's going to shoot 20 points per game, but I think like a 14, 15 points per game is pretty legitimate for him. Legitimate shot at it.
That's high praise, and that's something we've heard a few times be repeated from people around the program this offseason, is that they expect Gavin to, if not be the leading scorer, be damn near close to it.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he wasn't. Like I said, he's that good.
But next up, we have longtime starter at center, Cliff Amori. He came back after kind of dipping his toe into the NBA waters this offseason. What did you see and hear regarding Cliff?
A lot of positive about Cliff. He's still massive. He's still hard to stop in the paint. Anywhere within that like half cylinder range, he's probably going to dunk it on you. So just move out of the way. His downfall has always been this, and I still think it's partially an issue. He can't hit beyond that range. Can he hit an open 3 if he's wide open? Yeah, I'm sure. Like, I've seen him hit 3s before. Like, it's not crazy, but I would say he's probably a similar player, but he's still going to put up crazy good numbers. He's probably going to average a double-double at least again. I think he'll be very, very similar to this past season, but he has more outside weapons and more. There's other scorers now, so he doesn't have to be that main scorer every night. I think realistically, what did he average last year? 13 and 9.6, which is like a near double-double. I'd probably say like 14 and like 10.4 is probably realistic. And there's really not as much competition in the Big Ten anymore. I mean, Zach Edey's still there, but he should be the second best center in the Big Ten and should be one of the top, I don't even know where to put him, top 40, 50 players in the country, something like that. I think he leads the league in dunks. Or the nation in dunks. I will say that this year.
I can definitely see it. And he's got the types of guards who can kind of make that happen. Because if you remember 2 years ago, I think he was either the leader in the nation or close to it.
He was second 2 years ago. Last year, he finished like 12th or something like that. Forget what it was.
So, I expect with guys like Noah and guys like Dirk Simpson, getting him the ball, especially how much space there's going to be on the court now.
Oh, yeah.
With how they play, he's going to have way more opportunities for open dunks, for sure.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Next up, we got Antoine Woolfolk, who is the sophomore big who, from what Pike has said several times publicly, he's the most improved player on this roster. He lost a lot of weight this offseason. Did that show up when you saw him? Did he look like he's kind of a different player?
Yes. So he lost, I think, it's ironic because like he lost 20 to 25 pounds. Antonio Chol gained 20 to 25 pounds. So it's like, I don't know how they did that. And they just like shifted people's body weights like that. But he's super athletic and it's helped him a lot. He's going one-on-one against Cliff every single day. There's moments where he could play the 4. We saw it in if you watch those streams or whatever versus the Portugal All-Stars or whatever the hell they were. He was playing. He actually started the 4 with Cliff at the 5, but I don't see a lot of that actually happening. I do think it's mostly going to be him as the backup 5 role, but he's going to play some solid minutes. He's the main guy now. No more Dean Reber. Woolfolk looks good though. He's holding his own. I know people are worried. They're like, he lost weight. Like, this doesn't make sense. He's a center. Stop thinking old school basketball. It's not a thing anymore. There's no big body Kofi Coburn in the paint, just stuffing the paint and getting 3 seconds every other possession. It's a totally different game. You don't have to be that guy anymore. You actually have to be athletic, to be honest with you now.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, no, I think losing the weight has definitely helped him. He's got nice touch around the rim. There's a couple possessions he was literally going one-on-one against Cliff and winning those battles at times. I think he's finally coming into his own, and especially because he ditched that football weight. He has now like a basketball body. He's going to be a really good player, and he's going to be a guy that's going to run up and down the court with these quick, shifty guards and forwards.
Yeah, and we've seen a couple times, here and there last year go in transition, and he's a pretty good ball handler for his size too. So I'm really excited to see him in this new style of offense next year or this year.
Good vision, good footwork, athletic. Got to work on his shot a little bit and maybe dunk a couple more. But I think if anyone could teach, it's probably the guy that's in front of you in the rotation.
Yeah. Yep. No better mentor to learn from there than Cliff. But moving on, next up, Antonio Chol. He's a guy who's gotten a lot of hype out of camp the last couple of years. He hasn't really played a whole lot, though. What did you see out of Antonio Chol?
I think he's definitely a pretty good player. I know there's been a lot of question marks because it's like he played in 3 games, but then he got injured and he redshirted. There's a lot of hype about him last offseason. There's a lot of hype about him this offseason. He's going to play, but I'm not sure how much he's going to play realistically. He is a good player. He is super athletic. Like I said, he did gain weight. So he looks like he actually might be thicker than Antoine Woolfolk now. But he can shoot the lights out. He's a great outside shooter. I know last season during training camp, he was their top 3-point shooter. Or not training camp, whatever you want to call it. The lead up to I don't know if they call it training camp in basketball. But
yeah, we know what you mean.
Yeah, the lead up to the season, he was their leading 3-point shooter when it came to like them statting everything out, because that's another thing they do with all the analytics and blah blah blah. So yeah, he was hitting a couple threes today. He was going in the paint like against Cliff, against I think he was against Woolfolk the one time. There was one crazy play today actually that just caught my eye, and it shows his athleticism and it shows kind of a glimpse of what he could be. There was a corner 3, and it was just a miss. And like, you don't really see this you haven't seen this at Rutgers at least. But you kind of see it, and I'm going to compare it to my 2K team. So like, you chuck up, one of these guys chucks up a 3. I'm the big man. I'm coming right from the top of the key, and we're doing a putback dunk, and it's just a crazy putback dunk. He did that, but he did like a 2K move and just came out of nowhere from like the elbow and just boom, putback slam. And I was just like, yo.
Wow.
I'm so mad my phone was not on for like, I was on my phone and I was like, I'm so mad I didn't just go like this. Like that would have been perfect. Yep. Then the next possession, what does he do? He hits a wide open three. Next possession, what does he do? He gets an and one on Cliff. And I'm like, yo, what the who is this guy? So he has his moments. He also has some bad moments too, but he's going to play a lot this season. I think it's tough to slot him because you have Cliff at the 5. So he's not going to play a ton of 5. Will Folk's better than him. I don't think there's a question there at the 5 at least. And then the 4 is kind of like probably going to be high at the start of the season. And then you got Mag as soon as Mag's healthy. So he's in a weird spot right now, but I do think he'll definitely see some minutes this year. I don't know how many. And it goes back to the rotation thing. This rotation's probably 10 deep, or could be 10 deep if you really want it to be. If hell, it could go more if you get that waiver for Jeremiah Williams too.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a few minutes because I was surprised when you were mentioning that. But next up, we have another new face on the team, Emmanuel Ogbol. He's a transfer from Monroe College. He's coming off a torn ACL. He seems like a guy who's got a really big personality. I don't know if anyone's seen his YouTube channel. He put up a few vlogs of the international trip. He seems like a really funny guy. What did you see from Emmanuel Ogbol, and what are you hearing about him?
Nothing. He's not approved for contact yet. He's approved for non-contact.
Okay.
So his injury was a couple weeks after. I think it was 2 weeks after they said.
This is in March. I think the second week in March he got hurt, whereas Mag got hurt the first week of February.
That's what it was. It was a couple weeks after Mag, but I was told specifically that they are on the same rehab path, so he could be cleared for contact relatively soon. Super raw, still learning the game, and I'm just going based off his former tape.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just like a freak to look at. Like his wingspan for a 6'10" guy is like, I don't know what it is exactly, but he's ripped. Like, so I wish, what sucks is that he's not going to be fully healthy until like they're just about out of conference play. Out of conference play, it's going to be more conference play when he's healthy, and it's like shit. Like I would love to watch him just go dominate a Stonehill real quick, or LIU or something like that.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't even be shocked. He's only a sophomore technically, so might be able to get away with redshirting him. I don't know if that happens or not, but he is just a massive human being, and he is very intimidating just to look at. It's almost like watching Isaiah Aiton in practice, and you're just like, I haven't seen him practice yet, but that guy scares the fuck out of me.
He's the guy getting off the bus first, is what you're saying?
Yep, exactly. Yep. That's the perfect way to put it.
Awesome. Next up, we got Austin Williams, who's a grad student who's spent some time at a lot of different schools. If you haven't listened to the commitment podcast we did about him, I'm going to hold my breath and announce where he's been. He started off at Marist College, transferred to Hartford, then he transferred to FIU last year. He got hurt before he played for FIU, never actually played while he was down at FIU. He's coming here for his 6th or 7th year of eligibility. Also coming off a knee injury. What did you see out of Austin Williams? What are you hearing about him?
I think Austin Williams is a guy he's still getting back into full game shape. He's shaking off the rust a little bit. I do think I shouldn't even say midseason, towards the end of out-of-conference play, I think he's a full-fledged rotation player. I think he's going to come off the bench. He can score pretty well. He's good at driving to the rim. His outside shot's a little questionable. Free throw's a little questionable. But yeah, no, I do think he's a really good player, and I think he's going to play a significant part in this lineup and rotation.
Awesome. The last scholarship player we got here is Jeremiah Williams, another transfer guy, another theme here, another guy we brought in this offseason, a new face who's dealing with an injury. He tore his Achilles, I believe. I don't remember exactly when it happened offhand, but he's recovering from that. He's previously spent time at Iowa State and Temple. What did you see and hear out of Jeremiah Williams, and could there possibly be an appearance on the court this year?
Yeah, so he can practice with the team, but he can't play yet. They did apply for a waiver with NCAA. We're going to wait and see what happens there. I would be kind of shocked if they gave it to him, but I don't know, because like it's weird. He's a Chicago native. He's double transferring. So is he double transferring? Actually, no, he's not. Yeah, he is double transferring. Where was he at before Iowa State? He was somewhere else, wasn't he? Temple. But a hell of a player. I think anyone that's complaining about why hell's Pikel taking up scholarship for a year, yada, 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 you guys are nuts. The kid's fucking good. Can shoot, can dribble, can play top tier defense. And the only reason I didn't say he's probably their best guard defender is because I don't think he's going to be eligible. That's the issue. But they do have a waiver out, and we're going to see what happens with NCAA. But he's a very shifty player. He's quick. He's practicing with the team, and he's another one. If he gets eligible, like, some people are going to be pissed off because, like, someone else is getting bumped out. I don't know who, but it's just so much depth, especially at guard. I know last year, who was their technical lead guard? I know you could probably say Derek, but Derek didn't come on until late.
The lead guard last year was probably Paul. And then you had Derek, and that's kind of it, really.
Yeah, and this year you have Derek, Noah, Jamichael, Austin, Jeremiah, Gavin Griffiths. Like, there's guard after guard after guard after guard. I do think he's going to be a really good player. I just don't know if he'll be eligible this year or not. That's the big question mark. I'm assuming they kind of have to let you know soon, considering games are, a month away?
Yeah, and I mean, well, Rutgers has not exactly had luck dealing with the NCAA on any sort of timelines, at least from the football front. I'm sure Greg would like to strangle somebody at the head office for the NCAA for how they handled the Drew Singleton situation, how they're handling the ongoing Steve Brantley situation. So even though you would like to get some clarity before the season, I wouldn't hold my breath there. But it is promising, though. It sounds like there's more positivity about his potential to be on the court this year than it was probably even a few weeks ago. Would you agree?
Yeah, I 100% agree. They're not. I'm not saying they're optimistic it's going to happen, but they definitely think there's a slight chance that they might be able to pull this one off. And if, like I said, if he's eligible, you guys are going to look at him and be like, "Holy shit, thank God!" Like,
yeah, because he's an elite defender too, which we haven't really talked about, which is often a hallmark of Pike's teams is defense.
Big question mark.
Let's talk about the defense. We talked about the offense. How do you feel this team's going to hold up defensively this year? Because when you're playing at a fast pace, you're on defense a lot more. Does Pike? How does Pike feel about that?
That's the big question mark between a lot of these guys. I know I said Jamichael's a pretty good defender, but it's more so if you take him off the court and put in Noah and Derek, I think you're sacrificing a little bit of offense or a little bit of defense for offense, or vice versa. It really depends on who's out there. That's where I think a guy like Austin Williams could come in temporarily. He's got length. He's got good size for, like, say, a 3-man. And I've said this multiple times, I think, actually, in the past, even before, like, watching the team. It's going back to what I said before when Austin committed. Austin could probably guard that 3-man. Is he going to do Caleb McConnell type stuff? Hell no. No one's doing that. Do they have a Jacob Young on the team? No, they probably don't. Could Jamichael Davis turn into that guy? Yeah, there's a possibility, but I do think defensively they're going to have to figure some things out still. The paint's going to be fine because you got Cliff down there for the most part. Even if Cliff's guarding a guy that can shoot, you probably just switch him with the other guy that can't shoot. There's bound to be one on the court. But yeah, I think it's going to be a big question mark, and the only good thing is that they have really good offense now. They're probably going to put up good numbers offensively. But if I want anyone to teach my team defensive stuff and defensive schemes and stuff like that, I don't think there's a better guy in the world than Steve Peichel. So it's going to be a work in progress to start. I do think you'll probably see a couple, like, stupid plays defensively. They're just going to be like, "Oh, you just gave up that. What the hell? Why don't you shift your feet? Why don't you go here, slide here?" But I do think they'll figure it out. I don't think they're going to be the team that's going to, like, the speed limit team. Has completely shifted. The speed limit's going on the offensive side, and we're putting it at 75.
Do you think since they have more athletes, they'll play more press? I know that Jerry Carino talked about that in his article, that they were doing a lot more, at least in practice, a lot more practicing of the 1-3-1 press.
Yeah, they're going to put a little bit more in, but he's also not going to reveal too much in those articles or any quote in general. I know media days next week. I expect people to ask him about that. I wouldn't be shocked if Jerry asked him about it again, but they'll definitely press a little. I don't think they're going to press as much, but I do think you can kind of, like, you could probably play man the entire game. You probably don't have to play much zone, but it really depends the matchups and who you have out there and the rotations. Like I said, this rotation's probably 10 deep. Depending on who's out there is depending on how the defense is going to really work and how it's going to run.
Yeah, no, this has been all great info. I know, we're all starved for some basketball content.
Oh, yeah.
It's right around the corner. Some big events kind of coming up on the calendar. So yes. October 13th, we talked about this previously. It's going to be the KNIGHTFEST, which is presented by the Knights of the Raritan. I know I said Midnight Madness. This is a similar to Midnight Madness event, but it's hosted by the Knight Society and the front office, sponsored by the Knights of the Raritan. So that is going to be Friday, October 13th. Doors will open to the public at 5:30 for this event. From 4 to 5:30, there's going to be a student 3-on-3 tournament that's closed to the public. Only students can get in. Starting at 6 o'clock for this event, there's going to be the opening ceremonies. From 6:30 to 7, Steve Peichel and captains of the team will have some sort of forum. From 7 to 8:30, there's going to be something called the KNIGHTFEST games, which I'm sure will be different, basketball-related events. They haven't really talked about what that's going to be exactly. Then from 8:30 to 9, the closing ceremonies will occur. Tickets are available now on KnightSociety.io. Just to go over some pricing on this, if you're a student, you can get in for $10. General admission's $30. Lower bleacher seating is going to be $75, and you can get courtside tickets for $190. Tickets are limited. So if you want to attend this, I would get on it today or tomorrow. This is going to be the weekend of homecoming too, so it's a nice lead up to the football game the following day. There might be some special guests there as well, given that it's a huge official visit weekend. Ace Bailey's going to be on campus. Lathan Somerville's going to be on campus. Bryce Dort's going to be on campus. Trey McKenney's going to be on campus. Might make some cameos there. I can't promise anything, but I'm assuming that everybody's going to be there in full force.
Might be a big name too. We don't know. It's
might be another big name.
Just a rumor.
Just a rumor. I'm sure there'll be a lot of former basketball players there. I'm sure there'll be opportunities for pictures and things like that. Yeah. So if you want to get tickets, go to KnightSociety.io, buy your tickets there. Again, they're limited, especially for students. I don't know how many exactly tickets are for each price range, but if you want to go, sign up now because tickets are limited.
Yeah, buy those ASAP. I don't know what you're waiting for. There's not going to be a Midnight Madness. That is Midnight Madness, just so you know. So if you want to see these guys, I suggest going ASAP to KnightSociety.io.
KnightSociety.io, yep.
Okay, there you
go. One name I did mention there had a little bit of a recruiting update. So Trey McKenney is the 2025 5-star recruit out of Michigan. This is a guy, just reading the tea leaves here, I think Rutgers has a really good shot with, based on last week, Steve Peichel and Smoke Williamson were in to see him. Yesterday, Smoke Williamson was in again to see him. They were also there the second week in September, so they've gone out 3 separate times in September alone to go see this kid. He's going to be on campus on October 13th to the 15th, like I said, so he's going to be here for the homecoming weekend. Am I crazy to think that this could be the crown jewel of the 25 class for Rutgers?
No, not anymore. If you would have asked me this 2 months ago, I probably would have been like, all right, let's relax. Like, there's a Michigan kid, like, randomly, like, there's no way that's going to happen. But it says, like, a serious chance this might actually happen. Like, it's kind of insane. Smoke Williamson, like you said, has been there twice in the past week.
Yep.
Is that what it is? So it's kind of crazy that alone. The man was at practice today, just so everyone knows. So he is traveling a ton.
Yep.
But this man is earning his paycheck and then some. He's proven his worth. And I think I said it before. Now that he's at a Power 5, well, I guess you could say Power 5, high major. We'll go high major level. He's going to be able to do some things that he wasn't able to do at Central Michigan. And he got Dylan Grant, who's a kid that seems like he's pretty under the radar. He's gotten Jeremiah Williams, who seems like a pretty damn good get so far, in my opinion. Just watching him play, it proves that he's a pretty good get. But then if you can get Trey McKenney, this train's not stopping. This train is just going to keep on moving. And you're going to get Ace and maybe Dylan and then Trey. And then, hey, you want to play with Trey too? Oh, come on, Darius. Let's go. So absolute crazy time to be a Rutgers basketball fan.
Love it. The last thing we have on basketball is we're hearing some crazy things about ticket availability for the rest of the season. So as you guys may or may not know, out of conference single game tickets went on sale last week. You heard some nuggets about the amount of tickets left. It's not many.
You better hope you have them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might be shit out of luck.
So there are currently less than 500 single game tickets total left for all Rutgers home games that are available to the public right now.
Yeah, and I will say a lot of them
not for one game.
Total.
So if you want to attend a Rutgers game, buy those tickets now, or there are a significant amount of tickets still available for the Princeton game, which is going to be held at the Cure Arena in Trenton. That's going to be Monday, November 6th. So if you want to get good tickets for a Rutgers game, that's your best option, is to buy tickets for that, because there are way more tickets available for that than any other game at the RAC this year, or Jersey Mike's, I should say. So just the PSA. I know that conference single game tickets have not gone on sale yet, but there are basically no tickets left for conference games at the RAC.
Yeah, I would definitely go buy them. I'm not a spokesperson for Rutgers. I make no business off them whatsoever. But I will tell you that most of these tickets are going to be upper decks. It sounds like the lower bowl has been sold out for, I don't even know. Yep. Season tickets have been sold out for, I don't even know.
But there's a wait list now for season tickets starting for next year. So
wonder why.
I told you guys in the off season, if you wanted to get season tickets, you had to get in line this year, because you're not going to have the opportunity next year. And sure enough, there's a wait list. So
yeah, but I would definitely go buy them ASAP. But for some, the 400 number does not include Princeton, like we said before, because Princeton's in charge of the Princeton tickets, because that Trenton's like their home game, kind of technically. They get all the proceeds, all that shit. But
Princeton does.
Yeah, Princeton does. It's not a Rutgers thing. So I think it was more so Princeton saying, we want the first home match, and they're like, oh, we don't want it at Chadwin. We want it here. It's like, all right, whatever. Do whatever you want. I don't give a shit. But I would definitely go hop on those too, because there's only not a lot of Rutgers fans have bought tickets for that, and I don't know why, because that's a pretty damn big matchup. And Princeton's going to try to show up in full force and be, we made a tournament, we made far, we smart. Like, dude, you got to get fucking ran up and down the court. Like, anyway, go buy those tickets. Go do it ASAP. And if you don't buy tickets in time, they're going to be available on the secondary market, especially SeatGeek, who's the official Rutgers sponsor for ticket sales.
Wait, if you don't have a SeatGeek account yet,
no, you're good. You got it.
You don't have one. If you've never signed up for SeatGeek, if you use the promo code Rutgers Rivals, no spaces, all caps, you can get a what?
$20 off.
$20 off your first purchase, and you're gonna need a SeatGeek account if you're planning on buying Rutgers tickets either for football or basketball in the secondary market moving forward indefinitely. So if you don't have an account, sign up. Rutgers Rivals, all caps. $20 off your first purchase.
And if you do have an account, wink, wink, make a new account with a new email. It's very easy. It's very simple. And you can go get that $20 again. So it's free $20 every time. I'll be honest, I've used it a couple times. Like, I'm going to save my $20 on Giants tickets. I got $28 Giants tickets for Monday. So
yeah, that's because they're terrible. So
okay, well, no, you don't have to be mean. You don't have to be mean about it. Okay. But yeah. So anyway.
All right. So that's all I got. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up before we head out for the weekend?
I got two things, I think. Number one, happy anniversary, Christopher Ash. It has been 4 years since you have been let go. And I'll be honest, I don't think anyone misses you. Just put it bluntly.
Not at all.
So yeah, thanks for that one. 4 years ago. He not a fan of me. Not a fan of him, and that's why we have each other blocked on Twitter. Number two, speaking of Twitter, let's talk about it for a second. Stewie Mandel.
Oh man,
I'm putting your name on one of my champagne bottles, and the minute you fail, I'm pulling a Portnoy. I'm gonna order these eventually. Maybe I'll just get a cheap label and just put it over the normal champagne label. But I do have one bottle for when the Nets eventually win the championship. I bought it a little too early, but that's besides the point. But Stewie Mandel, little Stewart, little short fry, small guy, short temper Stewart. You can't get mad about a joke on Twitter.
Yep.
Jesus, dude, take the tampon out. Like, what are we doing? Like, I'm sorry for getting like a little TMI here, but like, you're gonna get mad at me because I made a joke? And you're going to go out of your way and say, it's not funny, you make fun of someone. I didn't make fun of your daughter. It was a joke saying, like, hey, this girl has similar writing styles. Quoted you about 18 times in this anti-Rutgers football story. Like, no shit, dude. If I didn't say it, someone else was going to do it. Then you're going to threaten me and my Heisman vote over something stupid like this? Shut up, dude. Who are you?
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, the Targum article that came out recently, it was an opinion article where somebody, a current student, wrote how she will never attend a Rutgers game, and here's why. And it's so we spend all this money on athletics, blah blah blah. Basically, like the same regurgitated bullshit, lazy writing that's been done about Rutgers being in a deficit for years. Newsflash, about 95% of athletic departments across the Power Five are at a deficit. So it's basically a marketing expense. The way you get more attractive students, not physically, but from a, what they actually bring to the table in terms of grades, in terms of, options, that's how you get better students on campus. Like you see it every time an obscure school has a big season in a sport like basketball or football, applications shoot up to record numbers.
Look at St. Peter's.
You gotta look at St. Peter's. You look at what George Mason did, back in the day. Rutgers in 2006, the 2007 class had the most applications ever in the history of Rutgers at the time. And so you're able to be more selective, and it creates a better academic environment. It creates an environment where a better conference wants you to play for them, and you have better opportunities being, an AAU member and part of the Big Ten, research group. Like
there's no negative.
There's no negative. And so Richie quote tweeted her and tagged Stuart Mandel saying, "I think I found your daughter," and he took it, like a
very
total bitch.
Personal.
And this is despite him making jokes about, when Oliver Luck was the AD at West Virginia, saying he thought his son could be a better AD than Oliver Luck was. And so he's just a hypocrite. He sucks. The guy deserves. He is one of the most unliked people in the athletic department right now for that hit piece he wrote this summer. And so I think there was a lot of people who were quietly rooting you on as you did that, Rich.
Go Richie.
But yeah,
I had to say something about Lil Stewie. But
yeah, Lil Stewie,
he's gone. He blocked me. It is what it is. He's added to the list of Michael Kay, Richard Sherman, and Coach Christopher Ashe. I won't respect him enough to say Chris.
Yeah, I wouldn't say a prestigious group because that would be giving them too much credit, but
exactly.
It's a group. I give them that much.
Well, there's others that blocked me and still talk about me still to this day on specific podcasts, but we'll ignore it. Whatever.
I don't know who you're talking about there. But anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks to everybody who's rated and reviewed. Thanks to everybody who's following. Thanks to everybody who is subscribed. We really appreciate all of you. For me and Richie, this has been another edition of the Knight Report podcast. Signing off.